What is up, SmackNPie here, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today, as can be learned from the title, we are going to discuss Little Nightmares 3 and potential Little Nightmares 2 DLCs, what could be their stories, and so much more. But first, if you haven't seen my ending explanation yet, I would highly recommend you guys to go and check it out. And also, I will do a full story explanation with timelines soon, so stay tuned. And spoilers ahead for both games 1 and 2 in this video. Now, without wasting any more time, let us begin. It is quite easy to say that yes, Little Nightmares 3 will happen after seeing the ending without looking much into it. You would go and say, whoa, that was a good twist. I guess we will find out in Little Nightmares 3. Well, that's not the case, actually, because in the secret ending, it continues from the exact same ending. Six teleported from Signal Tower with a feeling of void inside, feeling pure hunger. A familiar sight returns for original Little Nightmares fans as her glitch Shadow gives her the idea to take a visit to the maw to fulfill her hunger. That connects the first game with this one. It also ends Six's story in a way, not completely. In a major way, it does complete the cycle for Six's story. You need to understand that Six's story was done and dusted from the first game. We're only seeing a portion of her already done journey, but don't take my word for it, as according to Tarsier Studios themselves, the developer of this franchise, many different perspectives on Six's adventures were planned, which explains the thought process behind the DLCs for the first game. The events of the first game already happened in the first game, yet we see different perspective of the same events in the DLC, making it a rather completely different experience altogether. So in short, yes, Six's story, from being captured by Hunter to being rescued by Mono to being taken away by Thin Man and becoming the monster and doing that deed she did to then experiencing first game's events from the beginning till the end, her story already happened, and now we saw a different perspective and some fill in the blanks in Little Nightmares 2, which means that Little Nightmares 3 might follow a completely different story altogether. However, a story that was affected by Six and her actions. Don't forget, whatever she did in part 1 and 2 affected everyone in massive way. If he hadn't dropped Mono, he wouldn't have become Thin Man, hence Signal Tower would cease to exist, timeline would shift, Pale City and the Mall alongside ladies would have a different turn of events altogether. Who knows, maybe the feeling of hunger, of void might have not existed if it wasn't for the glitches and the signals and transmissions. So that means that Little Nightmares 3 and future Little Nightmares title stories are set in stone, as they will be the result of Six's doing, because that is a pivotal moment in all of Little Nightmares franchise, as she is becoming the prominent figure in the universe of Little Nightmares. Now, that being said, there are still some things left to discuss, and that's where my second point comes in, because we discussed that if Little Nightmares 3 will happen, it will be different from Pale City, the Maw. It would be a new location with the new characters, but being affected by Six and Mono's events and stories. Little Nightmares 1's DLCs served as a great reminder to why Tarsier Studios have mastered the art of storytelling. They can tell same story but from a different perspective and then making it a whole new experience, which is why, even though we already had a Gnome's Attic DLC, there is a likely chance of Little Nightmares 2 DLC later this year. Now, I am aware of the legal issues of Tarsier Studios getting bought and all that stuff, but in the original game, many areas were made for exploration but never fully explained or touched, specifically Kids in the Cage, that was then made into a DLC, tying two experiences of one event. In Little Nightmares 2, Mono first meets Six in Hunter's area. How did she get there? That could be material for Little Nightmares 3, but the fact that Hunter, Teacher, and Doctor's parts, not their bullies or patients, but the bosses themselves, their parts were small in sequence, specifically the teacher, there's a high chance of us playing as some other kids, either in school, becoming one of the bullies, meeting our fate by the hands of Teacher, because she didn't die, and I wonder why. That can be translated as one of the DLC. Other two doesn't fit that much because we're tackling kids here. Hunter part definitely works, so we could play as Six again and see how we got captured by Hunter. This is the interpretation of kids' nightmares after all, but playing as viewers, kids, and seeing it all unfold, or even the final DLC in Signal Tower, which can be titled The Secrets of Signal Tower, repeating what they did with Secrets of Maw DLC, experiencing what Signal Tower does and how it feeds off of negativities. I can see 3 DLCs easily. Signal Tower, Six's story, Till Hunter, and finally a kid in school becoming a bully. But this is just my inner fanboy talking. Reality is, Little Nightmares only rival at this time was Resident Evil, which is far off in May. After it, unless Silent Hill gets announced, there will be silence in the horror scene, and judging by the time it took Tarsier Studios to make this game, I wouldn't be surprised if in the upcoming E3 they announce a new DLC soon. First game was a massive hit. This game started off strong, so it is a no-brainer for Bandai Namco to request to be like, let's make another one in this franchise, and as a fan, we will welcome it with open arms. Now with that being said, what do you think about Little Nightmares 3 with completely new story that was influenced by Six and Mona's actions in some way, or even a prequel to Little Nightmares 2, or even a prequel to Little Nightmares 2 and a sequel to Little Nightmares 1? And what could be the possible DLC locations for Little Nightmares 2? A school is definitely one of them. I would love to hear what you guys have to say down in those comments below. With that being said, we will keep an eye out on the official Twitter account of Little Nightmares because there are some interesting theories happening over there, so stay tuned. Subscribe right now, 50k, we're getting closer, and I'll see you in the next video.